Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a very, very exciting new supporter card, which is going to be coming out in the Pokemon trading card game in Full Metal Wall in Japan. It will be part of Unbroken Bonds over here, and it's all to do with blue. Well, actually, no, that's not true. It's all to do with green. It is called Green Search, and the character is actually called Blue, but then in English, when it came over here in Let's Go, we called her Green. Ergo, even though it actually translates as Blue Search, it's going to be Green Search when it comes over here. Shout out to the lovely Joe from Cerebi.net for providing the translation. Although I did Google Translate it, and I think I got it pretty spot on. And also for helping me out with all of that. So, what does it do? It allows you to search your deck for 2 trainer cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. That sounds a little bit over the top nuts good. I've been telling you quite a lot about Bill's analysis, which is coming out in Team Up, that lets you look at the top 7 cards of your deck and put 2 trainer cards that you find into your hand, but that's only from the top 7. This is from anywhere in your deck. There must be a catch. There is a catch. The catch is that you can only play this supporter card if you do not have any Pokemon in play that has an ability. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is one gigantic catch. Now, let's be clear, this is obviously, clearly a phenomenal card. I just told you about Bill's analysis. This is Bill's analysis, but you look at your entire deck rather than the top 7 cards. That's the only difference. Bill's analysis has been seeing a lot of play in Japan. I expected to see a lot of play in US, Europe, etc., and the rest of North America, Canada. All those lovely countries. As far as I'm concerned, Bill's analysis is a good card. So an effect which is clearly a significantly better Bill's analysis must be, by its very nature, a good card. I don't think there's any argument about the fact that this is a good card. The argument with this is very simply whether it is worth playing this, given that you've got to have no abilities in play in order to use it. Now, one of the things we need to mention here, of course, is Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele is one of the best abilities we've got, one of the most prevalent abilities we've got. It lets you search for any supporter card. The irony, of course, here being that you cannot use Tapu Lele to search for Green Search. Now, you can technically do that, but then you can't play Green Search because you'll have a Pokemon in play with an ability. That would be a very, very bad thing indeed. But we have a whole bunch of Pokemon around at the moment that basically are our draw engine, but obviously the draw engine here comes in the form of an ability. We've got a Rangaroo here that lets you draw until you've got 3 cards in your hand, and that is of course often combined with Makago that lets you search your deck for any card and put it on top of your deck. So, of course, you combine the 2 of those into a rather nice draw engine. In Team Up, we're going to be getting Pidgeotto, who's got the exact same ability as the old Uxie Level X. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one of them into your hand and the other one on the bottom of your deck. That was a great card back in the day. There's no reason why it won't be a great card now. And then, of course, we've got Zeb Striker, which lets you discard your hand and draw a new hand of 4 cards. These are great in terms of draw power, and an awful lot of decks use them to make sure they've got the cards they need as they go through the game. Now, the good news is that Green Search will also get you the cards that you need to an extent. The bad news is you can't use this along with something like a Rangaroo. And then, of course, you've got other decks which aren't playing for draw power, but decks which just plain rely on Pokemon with abilities. Oftentimes, this is energy acceleration. So we've got stuff like Vikavolt, which searches for 2 energy, a grass and a lightning, and attaches them to your Pokemon in play, often nowadays played with Rayquaza. I'm looking at Malamar, which accelerates psychic energy and is played with a whole bunch of stuff like Necrozma. And I'm talking Naganadel, which accelerates any energy to itself and is played with a huge variety of Pokemon, but probably the most prevalent one of these would be the Fire-type Blacephalon, because you do 50 damage for each energy you pop in the Lost Zone, so the more energy you can get on the field, the more energy you can Lost Zone. It's pretty gosh darn good. Frankly, ladies and gentlemen, these kind of decks are not going to be able to take advantage of Green Search here. The thing is, this is a really good card in the early game. In the early game, this is absolutely phenomenal for helping you get your cards that you need. I mean, look, if you're playing something like Vikavolt, you're going to need that rare candy, so being able to use this to search for rare candy is really good. Because it's not just rare candy. You can use this to find rare candy and a Pokemon communication, which lets you swap a Pokemon in your hand for one in your deck. Or a timer ball that lets you flip 2 coins and grab an evolution Pokemon for each heads that you hit. Of course, you could hit double tails, and 1 in 4 times you should expect to. That would be a slight issue. Or maybe just bite the bullet and go Ultra Ball, and as long as you've got 2 cards in your hand that you can discard, you can play this and you're off and rolling. There's many ways you can do this in order to get your stage 2. The irony is, of course, that you know what else is really good in the early game? Tapu Lele. And essentially you have a choice here. Either you play Tapu Lele or you play this. There's nothing to stop you having both of these in your deck. The problem is that Green Search is, ironically enough, hard to search out. You would generally search it out using stuff like Mercargo, using stuff like Tapu Lele, but you cannot use them to search it out because then you can't play it because you have a Pokemon in play with an ability. So you've got to draw into it naturally. Although at this stage, I really do need to give a little bit of a shout out here to a card we looked at just earlier today, Unmanned Power Plant. You see, Unmanned Power Plant is a great little card which takes away abilities of EX and GX Pokemon. Now, at this stage, the translation of this card becomes extremely important. Now, I asked David Hochmann about this, and David's pretty good with the whole English-Japanese translation malarkey. And he said that it reads, each player's Pokemon EX and GX in play have no abilities. It does not say abilities have no effect, it says have no abilities, which means you count them as not having abilities, in the same way that Floatstone meant that you had no retreat cost. This means that you actually could use a Tapu Lele, and then search out Green Search, and then play down Unmanned Power Plant, so that you could then use this particular card. Unmanned Power Station, I think is actually called. And that would be a really cool little combo here, using Tapu Lele's ability, then turning it off so that you can use this. The way the card is worded in terms of a strict translation, this will work because Tapu Lele does not have an ability while this is in play. The thing is, this is not just for setting up. You could use this to search out cards like Crushing Hammer, like Max Potion, which will get you further on in the game. The problem is 2 trainers will not always be enough. And that's a bit of an issue. Oftentimes we play a card like Cynthia and we're looking for Pokemon and we're looking for energy and we're looking for a supporter card for next turn. And the thing is, I've told you we got cards like Ultra Ball and Timer Ball that you can use to search for Pokemon, but we do not have Energy Search at the moment. So you cannot use Green Search to find you an energy. The best we've got is Energy Lotto. And that is not a guaranteed energy card. That is look at the top 7 cards, and if you find one there, you can take it. In Japan, they've got Energy Spinner, which will work, but we don't have Energy Spinner. And I have checked, the set lists I'm seeing for Team Up at the moment do not have that card listed, which is very sad. We're getting Return Label, but we're not getting Energy Spinner. I've done a video about Return Label. I'll pop a link in the description. But I've done one about Energy Spinner as well. I'll pop that in the description too. Point is, this ain't perfect. You're not going to be able to get everything. But I do need to point out the ridiculous combo this has with Lieutenant Surge's strategy. I did a video just a couple days ago showcasing some of the dumb things you can do with that card. Again, I'll pop a link in the description. But what's really cool here is that Lieutenant Surge lets you play 2 supporters. And Green search lets you search for 2 trainers, not 2 items. So you could grab a stadium like Shrine of Punishment, but what I'm really thinking here is you use Lieutenant Surge, you play green search to search for whatever supporter you like, whether it's an Ace Roller, whether it's a Cynthia, whether it's a Guzma, whatever it might be, and then you can play it immediately. And yes, you could also then search for another Lieutenant Surge and basically just guarantee that you've got the right supporter and can play it every single turn. That could be kind of fun. This is a phenomenal card. The effect on this is clearly great, and there's going to be plenty of decks that use it. The issue is you are cutting yourself out of abilities. There is every possibility you just use this in the early game while you set up your Pokemon with abilities like Zeb Striker. And then, maybe you use this to grab a couple of Nest Ball to get your basics. But the problem then is, how many of these do you play, given that they are very literally dead cards, when you've got a Pokemon with an ability in play and then can't use it? It is an awkward card. But let's not sleep on how great this is, and any deck that is not relying on abilities really will just chuck 4 of these in and have a huge advantage. I'm giving it between 4 and 5 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric, and honestly there is an excellent chance that in the very near future this turns into a very miserly score. But that's what I think. I would, however, very much like to know what you think about this, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! But please do remember the most important rule as always: be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do please make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk Transformers and Keyforge and other games that take my fancy. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.